Members, and we will now proceed to the election of the chairman of the panel on welfare services for the 2022 session. The Secretariat has sent notice to members that as at the deadline of nomination, there's only one nomination received. That's Mr. Ben Chan. The nomination is made by Mr. Michael Look and seconded by Mr. An Man Yu. As Mr. Chan is not the chairman or deputy chairman of another panel, he is also not the chairman or deputy chairman of a relevant government advisory body. So in accordance with the rules of procedure and House rules, I declare Mr. Ben Chan elected the chairman of the panel on welfare services for this session. Congratulations, Mr. Chan, and you please come and preside over the meeting. He just stepped out, I think. Well, in that case, let me preside over the election of the deputy chairman. So we now proceed to the election of the deputy chairman. The Secretary has already informed members that as at the deadline of nomination, only one valid nomination was received. The nominee is Mr. Teng Kar-peel. His nomination is made by Mr. Ben Chan and seconded by Ms. Judy Chen. Mr. Teng Kar-peel, can you please come and preside over the meeting? Members, there is tabled the schedule of meetings. The 2022 session will be from the 12th of January to the 13th of July, 2022, in accordance with the House rules, of the rules of procedure, rather. So, members, do you agree that we follow the practice of the past term? That is, meetings of this panel will be held every second Tuesday at 10:45 a.m. Agreed? Okay, thank you. For the April regular meeting, now the meetings of the special meetings of the Finance Committee are scheduled from the 8th on the 8th of April and from the 11th to the 14th of April this year. So therefore, the April regular meeting will be rescheduled to the 4th of April, Monday, at 4:30 p.m. Okay? And then the May regular meeting, because the 9th of May is the Buddhist birthday public holiday, so the May meeting will be rescheduled to the 16th of May, Monday at 4:30 p.m. Okay, so please mark your diary. Now we will be sending out the revised meeting schedule to you later, members. Now, items for discussion at the next meeting. For the February regular meeting, it's a policy briefing. So, the next regular meeting, as agreed, will be held on the 14th of February, Monday at 10:45 a.m. And also, at the council meeting of the 16th of February, there will be a debate on the policy address. So the administration has proposed and the Secretariat has reserved a slot of 10:45 a.m. to 12:15 p.m. On the 14th of February, Monday. This so that the Secretary for Labour and Welfare and the Secretary for Home Affairs could give members a policy briefing on the 2021 policy address. Members, do you agree? We hold this policy briefing. Mr. Teng Kar-peel, Deputy Chairman, of course we agree to the policy briefing, but since the meeting is only just an hour or so, I'm sure all members would want to include another item, that is the children's residence home case. Now it seems that experts will be completing a report for submission to the government, and so on the 14th of February we should discuss the meeting. And I've also written to ask that the persons in charge of the children's residence home be invited to the meeting. Next, Mr. Michael Tian. 1 minute, please. I strongly request that a special meeting be held on the children's residence home case. We should talk about the organization. We also talk about the whole supervision system. How come the investigation has been taking so long? For the whole month they've been arresting people, and we are really unhappy about the whole mechanism. And longer term, we should talk about the children's policy, reporting of child abuse cases, and the relevant legislative exercise. I hope we could follow up on that this year. And then we should also review the youth employment at the Greater Bay Area. We should make it a standing item, and there's urgency on that too. Thank you. Now, on the 24th of January, the Secretariat received a letter from Mr. Teng Ka-piu and Mr. Michael Chung to request a special meeting on the children's residence home child abuse case. We'll consider whether we should call a special meeting, and as we discuss the agenda with the administration, we will certainly consider all your requests. Dr. Tixi Yuen, thank you. I agree there should be a special meeting on the children's residence home because a report is available today. But in the past months, we actually don't know what's been going on. I understand many members have wanted to ask questions openly or at the council. So I think we should have a special meeting so we could be informed of the latest development of the case. I think it's necessary. We need to be accountable to the public. And also on reducing grant to welfare organizations by 1% before the end of the financial year. I hope there could be discussion. I hope the government will not be targeting the disadvantaged here. I hope before we have the next reference program, we should have a discussion. Well, we could take that up with the administration, but the budget is coming up soon. I don't know if we could schedule that in discussion in time. I must ask for understanding. Mr. Stephen Ho, of course, the children's residence homes case is outrageous, but then that case has exposed possible problems with the licensing regime. We're not just talking about organizations, just some who have been arrested claim don't know such actions amount to child abuse. So it's not just about taking care of children. What about elderly? What about the licensing regime for such homes? I think either it's a special meeting or is in a regular meeting. We have to discuss the licensing and registration regime for such homes. We should invite the Secretary for Labour and Wealth to come and explain things to us. Thank you. For the children's residence home investigation report, I'm sure some information will be available there, and I think the report will be released soon. Next, Mr. Stanley Lee. Please raise your hand. My microphone's not on. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm also very much concerned about the children's residence home case. Of course, many members have expressed concern too. If that's the case, Mr. Chairman, I wonder if we could form a group or subcommittee. We shouldn't just look at the children's residence home case, but rather we should look at the protection of children on the whole, because the reference legislation has not been updated for many years. So how are we going to protect children in the community? Now, of course, about the background of children who are sent to the children's residence home. So perhaps we should have a meeting to discuss if there are possible deficiencies in our effort to protect children. And of course, we must discuss the children's residence home case as well. I hope, Mr. Chairman, you could consider setting up a subcommittee on that. Okay, Mr. Stanley Lee is proposing a subcommittee, but I think if members wish to form a subcommittee, what sort of procedure must the member follow? Okay, so we'll take it up with the administration. I think it's not just about the children's residence home case. It's all about child care. Ms. Maggie Chen. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also want to talk about the children's residence home case. I support the call for a special meeting or even the forming of a subcommittee. And of course, from this case, we should look at bigger issues about child protection, child care, and also the care for the elderly and other disadvantaged individuals. And if we have either a special meeting or subcommittee, I hope one more issue could be added to it. That a law reform commission is studying the relevant law on child protection, but what is the time frame? I think it's a matter of urgency that the legislation be put in place. And what about the operation of children's residence home now? What sort of measures are being taken? Even if there is an investigation in port, one case is one too many, and it's a matter of urgency. Now, on the children's residence home case, I'd like to go through the main points quickly. Now, apart from that, I hope there will be a healthcare voucher for women to do screening for breast and pelvic cancer. Now, I have to stop, put a stop to the queue because we need to finish by 12:30. Are there other members who wish to raise questions? Okay. Reverend Peter Kuhn. Mr. Tang, you've already asked question. You want to speak for the second time? Okay. And then next is Miss Leland Kwok. Then we have Reverend Peter Kuhn. Mr. Leung? Thank you. I agree. We should look at the children's residence home case. We also look at how cases are being referred. And then, there are many youth groups engaging in youth work in the community. Now, in the policy address, that there will be Home Affairs and Youth Bureau. So would that mean there will be policy changes? And how can we make sure there will be long-term planning for youth work in the community? Yes, at the moment youth work is under Home Cares Bureau. Women and children are under the Labor and Welfare Bureau. Yes, and of course for NGOs we have to pay attention to their issues, right? Reverend Canon Peter Kuhn. I think the children's residence home has exposed the issue of child care in relation to hardware and software. I think the current policy has been in place for a long time, so I think it's time to review it. Ms. Lillian Kwok. We're talking about a licensing regime for homes. For the children's residence home, it shows that there are problems with the licensing regime. And apart from that, do we have any sort of penalty system? I hope there will be assessment of the whole regime. Second point, now we are in an epidemic. There's a problem with mental health for many people. Then there's not a single service run by any NGOs, so members of the public could seek help. So can we make it an urgent item of discussion to see if we could develop consultation services in the community? And then protection for retired women and other issues, I will be submitting a paper to ask for discussion on this item. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lillian Kwok. I'd like to remind members that we have heard many different suggestions. I would suggest members to submit those in writing. Last, Mr. Tang Ka-pyeong. Thank you, Chairman. Well, since many members have reiterated the need for legal framework to prevent child abuse, I think we should put this in writing not only to you but also to the chair of the House Committee. because we would need to fight for setting up of subcommittee. I also like to look into the support for non-recurrent organizations. But then for some of the submitted organizations, they think that I have provided additional support, yet very often subventions would only be given to the larger traditional companies. And then I'm sure that many members are concerned we must put this into our agenda. Thank you. Thank you for all your suggestions. For items for discussion, I would strongly urge you to submit this in writing. The clerk has also noted down your suggestions, but please do submit in writing. I have some other AOB. First of all is a late membership application. We have received Mr. Yang Wen-kit a late application for membership, and the reasons have already been set out in his letter to Legislative Council CB bracket 218/2022 bracket 01. According to 23 bracket B of House Rules, it is for the committee to decide whether an application for late membership should be accepted. Do members all agree to Mr. Yang joining the panel? All right, thank you. We accept Mr. Yang's late application for membership. Next item is on sign language service. The Secretariat will continue to provide sign language interpretation services for the panel on welfare services. When joint meetings are held with other panels and when subcommittees under the panel on welfare services are held, sign language service will also be provided. Any other AOB? This concludes our meeting today. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.